Today I'm in Aldgate, the location of one of the former gates of the historic London Wall around the City of London. And this here is Aldgate Pump, a former water pump. But it's actually a bit more than that. Historically, it was seen as a kind of marker that symbolised the beginning of London's East End. The East End wasn't exactly the wealthiest part of London. In fact, it was pretty horrible. It was overcrowded, run down, dirty, smelly, and dangerous. Now, I can't find the original source of this quote, but apparently it was once said that east of Aldgate Pump, people cared for nothing but drink, vice, and crime. It's a bit unfair, considering that the people who lived in the East End were the poorest people in London, the unemployed, the working class, and the immigrants. But the Jack the Ripper murders did happen there, so I guess that covers the vice and crime part. Anyway, there was a well on this site as early as the 13th century, but the pump was built on top of it at some point in the 1700s. Water pumps were usually pretty busy places, not just because they were one of the few places people could get free, clean water, but also because they were seen as places to socialise, kind of like how if you go over to someone else's house, you usually hang out in the shower. When the pump was first built, the water that came out of it came from an underground stream, and people really liked it. In fact, it was described as bright, sparkling and cool, and of an agreeable taste. But it wasn't long before people started to complain that the water tasted foul and contained an unusual amount of solids in solution, namely about 5 times as much as ordinary London drinking water. In fact, an expert in determining water quality, Professor James Alfred Wanklin, don't laugh, said at the time, "Some years ago I made an analysis of the sewage taken from the Fleet Ditch sewer. If I were called upon to make an imitation of the water flowing from Aldgate Pump, I might submit the sewage of the Fleet Ditch to a slight filtration and have a fair imitation of the produce of the Aldgate Pump. It is hardly necessary to state that the water of the Aldgate Pump is not a safe beverage at any time, and that in periods of epidemic disease it is highly dangerous. This pump ought to have been closed long ago on sanitary grounds." And Professor Wanklin wasn't wrong. The water was so bad that hundreds of people who drank it died. An investigation revealed that the water originated from Hampstead in North London, but that the underground stream ran through several graveyards, causing the water to be contaminated with calcium, bacteria, and just about anything else that came off of decaying bodies. So the good people of East London were drinking what was essentially corpse juice, or as it's known now, Dr. Pepper. After this rather unfortunate news was revealed, the pump was connected to the mains water. By the 1920s, apparently everyone had just forgotten about the grave juice that killed hundreds of people, and they went back to drinking it. In fact, proving once again that British people will do anything for tea, the tea company Whitted once boasted that it would always get the kettles filled at the Aldgate Pump, so that only the purest water was used for tea tasting. Since then, the pump has been shut off and no longer pumps water. But you can still see these 2 stubs which once held chains which were connected to metal cups, and the pump's spout, which was a later addition. Apparently the wolf's head signifies the last wolf that was killed in the City of London. You won't find wolves in London or anywhere in the UK anymore, except in, zoos and stuff. This lantern is also here, but it's not the original one as that went missing. Nowadays, the Aldgate Pump just sits here in the shadow of the cheese grater at the junction of Fenchurch Street and Leadenhall Street, outside a co-op, where they presumably sell bottled grave water as a souvenir. The pump also lives on in Cockney rhyming slang, whereby if someone says they've got the Aldgate Pump, or just got the Aldgate, it means they've got the hump, or for the non-Brits watching, it means they're annoyed. Which for the people who actually drank the contaminated water is a bit of an understatement.